Sagana Vavatu, Saganao Bunaktu, Sagaviryam Karvavagai, Tejasvina Vidattamastu Ma Vidvishavagai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambam Sankaracharya Madhyamam Asmat Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwarah Guru Shashat Parabrahma Tatmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarubini Vidyarambam Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Karpanya Dosho Subhavaga Pृच्छामि त्वं धर्मसम्मूढचेतः यस्य श्रेयसां निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मय शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वं प्रपन्नम् ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रशिस्थिता मनो मे वासि प्रशिस्थितम् आविर्भाविमायेदि वेदस्य मा आनिस्तः श्रुतं मे मा परिस्तः अनेन अधीतेन अहोरात्रान् सन्ददामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारम् अवतु अवतु मामवतु वक्तारम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेव भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्रः स्थिरैरङ्गे सुष्ठुवागं सस्तनूभिः विशेष देवहितं यदाहु स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृधिष्ठवेवः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदः स्वस्ति नस्त्रक्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति न बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ अहं वृक्षशरेरिव इति वृक्षं गिरेरिव ऊर्ध्वपरिवित्रो आजनीव स्मवित्रम् अस्मि द्रविगङ्क्वं सवचसं सुमेधा अमृतोऽसितक इति त्रिशङ्कोर्वेदानुवचनम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ ॐ
Thank you for the seva, Vijay. Right, chapter 17, Shraddha Traya Vibhagyo.
We are on 17.
We are on? We are on
17.
17. Okay. So what we've discussed is, now we're discussing various types of austerities. And we have, Bhagwanji has described the austerity of the body, austerity of speech, and austerity of mind. 3 types of austerities, right? Speech, mind, and body. He's described all of those. And now he's going to say how do you determine the quality of these 3 types of austerities? So those are the 3 that we need to keep in mind. And we are now going to try and discuss the quality determination, right? Body, mind, and speech. Right? So body, mind, and speech. With that, we'll start with Shlok 17. Prem, do you want to read with us?
I think we did 17 last time. We are on 18, I think. In my notes, I have that we did 17 already.
I think it's okay. Let's start with 17 again. Just
Okay.
keep the thing going. And so that today, when we because we're coming back after a bit of a break, it'll be good to take all 3 of them together. Rajasic, Sattvic, and Tamasic, to understand how they are different. I think it'll be a good connection.
Okay. The austerities mentioned above related to body, speech, and mind, so that they may function as effective instruments for the performance of duties. The Lord now tells us how their functioning is influenced by three types of faith and how the austerity of the body, speech, and mind serves as an index of faith which influences them.
Yeah. So here, what we are trying to do is we're trying to understand what is our starting point in terms of the quality of faith we have. And as you all understand, faith is not something that we can directly observe. So all through this, we are trying to see what are the indicators, what will indicate to us so that we can understand what is our starting point. Eventually, we all have to move towards the sattvic, full sattvic faith in all activities, correct? But we don't know that. So we'll now find out what sort of austerities. We all indulge in austerities, right? We all have indulged in physical austerities, so the austerity of the body, that of mind, and that of speech. Because otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are in our lives. We all have worked extremely hard in various situations. We all have, certain goals that we have set up for ourselves and gone ahead and achieved them. None of that is possible without appropriate austerity of body, mind, or speech being called into work, right? So we all have done austerities. Now let's find out what kind of austerities have we done so that we're able to determine once again, like triage back to like, okay, what does it look like? Where am I in my journey? Right? Shraddhaya paraya taptam
Shraddhaya paraya taptam
tapastatri vidham narahe
tapastatri vidam narahe
apala apalakanksha bhiryuktahe
apalalankang shri shibrayute
apala
apalak
apala
apalak
akanksha
akankshak
bhiryuktahe
hiryaktehe
सात्विकं परिचक्षते.
satvikam parachakshate. When these three austerities are undertaken as a strict discipline with supreme conviction by steadfast persons who do not hanker for enjoyment or results, they are spoken of as a being sattvic. Sattvic austerities, the austerity of the body, speech, or the mind, is said to indicate a sattvic faith if it satisfies the following conditions. 1. Strictness of discipline. The aspirant observes strictness in practicing the discipline of austerity, unmindful of any worldly gains or loss, or of any inconvenience. 2.
So-
Supreme conviction.
So let's just go on discipline first, right? So the one thing about the discipline is a lot of us focus on discipline for the sake of outcome. And that's how we train our kids. That's how we use our mind. Like, let's be disciplined. That's when we'll get the result, right? Just come back in 12 o'clock. The thing with sattvic discipline is having the discipline of doing the duty with the right tap, but without any expectation of worldly gains. That's what real discipline is, that you show up and you do it regardless of the expectation, because it is the right thing to do and it is your duty. That is sattvic discipline. Most of the discipline we follow is rajasic discipline, discipline to achieve results. Yeah.
Number 2, supreme conviction. Austerity is practiced steadfastly with a firm conviction that in its practice lies the ultimate welfare and attainment of the supreme gain of human life, self-realization. On account of this conviction, the practice never falters. Number 3, steadfastness. The aspirant has to be steadfast in practice and undaunted by any reverses. And number 4, not hankering for results. The aspirant is not to be guided by the considerations of pleasant or unpleasant results, being concerned only with the performance of all the duties dedicatedly and assiduously.
Shlok, the word narah has been used, the last word in the first line, right? Narah. Narah means human. What is interesting is that there is the word narah has not been used in the next two shlokas where we are talking about austerities that are rajasic or tamasic in nature. Being human, what does being human mean? Being human means that you have that one, you have been able to have a control over your likes and dislikes. You have been able to use your intellect to develop control over your mind, and you are able to have the appropriate goal of of a higher motive. You have to have a higher goal. You have to be able to have a higher motive than just petty worldly gains. You have to be able to direct your mind and your intellect towards your ultimate welfare. Only a person who is able to set his goal at this level कि मुझे सिर्फ भगवत प्राप्ति चाहिए. I only want self-realization. I want Bhagwan ji. I want the truth. Nothing but the truth. Only that person is really a human being because he is now able to utilize his element of choice. And he is not being driven to make decisions in his life that are driven by likes, dislikes, sanskars, habits. Right? Because those who are constantly acting based on their likes and dislikes and their sanskars and their old habits, they are actually acting like an animal would. That's what an animal does. So only people who are able to set a higher goal of achieving Bhagwanji deserve to be called the human. Not just deserve to be called the human. It's not about deserving. It's about who is a human. There is nobody else who can be called a human. Okay. So that is why only in this shloka that the word narah has been used. A human is the one who will go after his ultimate welfare, which is to seek the truth. Others are actually not even animals. They are worse than animals because animals don't have that choice of not being themselves. Only in human format do we have the ability to make that choice. ऊपर जाएंगे कि नीचे गिरेंगे. There is no other choice. इसी जगह पे रहेंगे is not a choice. So we are worse if we are not seeking truth as our ultimate choice, and we are not utilizing all of the austerities, all of our willpower, all of our intellect to guide our mind towards hankering after only one thing, which is truth, then we are not being humans, we are being worse than animals. Now, the strictness of discipline that must be done for our body, mind, and speech has to be unmindful of any worldly gain and unmindful of the inconveniences that we have to encounter in this practice. With the supreme conviction, what will cause us to walk down this path when everybody around us tells us, please loosen up, dude, you're being too, like you really need to relax in life. You're taking on too much in your life. What will cause you to hold on to it when everyone else is trying to tell you that it's nonsense? Right? I don't know why you're even doing this. How do you even know? We all, I'm sure, if we are doing this practice, we all have people around us who have told us at various times that what you're doing is absolute, utter nonsense. And you're causing problems in your own life with this, and you're causing problems to all of us around you because you are taking away our happiness. You're creating issues in our lives. Okay? The only thing that will allow us to hold on to that supreme conviction is that supreme conviction. This is the only place for me. This is the only thing that will get me any level of happiness and bliss. And only when I am in my happiness and bliss, in my space of truth, can I add anything of value to this world. If I am not steadfast and I am not centered and I am not happy and I am not blissful and I am not full of peace, I will not be able to give it to anybody around me, my family, my children, my spouse, my parents, the communities that I'm part of, my office. I cannot give. If I'm full of negativity inside of me, if I'm full of judgment, if I'm full of anger, if I'm full of any kind of like random spaghetti inside of me, that's the spaghetti that will come out. Okay. So this is the conviction. When we think about why do I falter? I try and do this stuff, but I often falter. Why do I falter? This is the reason. I don't have the supreme conviction. So I need to go back to developing that conviction. Now, how will I develop that conviction? I will not develop that conviction by saying I will develop that conviction. From today onwards, I will have that conviction. That will get us nowhere. The only way to develop that conviction is to ask God for that conviction. So I have to go back and understand I don't have the ability, I don't have the possibility, I do not have any skill set that will allow me to develop that supreme conviction. I have to have the humility to, first of all, accept the boundaries of what I can or cannot do. And then go down to Bhagwanji and ask him for that conviction. Bhagwanji, nahi hai mere paas wo conviction. Look, I faltered here and here and here. I do not want to go down this path. I want to develop that unwavering conviction in the ultimate welfare that you are there and you are the only truth. Help me develop that and do more and more and more Nam Jap. That's the way to develop that supreme conviction with Nam Jap, with humility, with prayer to Bhagwanji. And then comes the steadfastness, that knowing that I will falter again and again. It isn't that today I will wake up and I will decide, ab to kar dikhaya maine. Nahi hoga. We are going to fall again and again and again. But every time I fall, I have to recognize that I have fallen this time. Oh, so this is what it takes to make me fall down. Okay, interesting. Now I'm going to take that situation, become aware of that situation. Under what situation do I fail? These are the situations I'm able to conquer. These are the situations I fail. Develop that understanding, that awareness through Manan. What happened? Why did I fail? What was that point that caused me to tip over and break my own tap? What kind of mental framework, what kind of physical framework, what kind of emotional framework that causes me to trip over? Okay, do that Manan and then present it to Bhagwanji. This is where I fail. I need you to help me resolve this in myself. I need your help for me to develop conviction even in this space, so that next time such a situation comes, I don't fail. And then go back to practicing that tap. Not berate ourselves, not kill ourselves because I failed at one time. That one time happened. It was also a way for me to become aware of what I was not aware of inside of me. Right? And so steadfastness, supreme conviction, steadfastness, and then not hankering after results. Not hankering after results, not just for the worldly gains, but even for moksha. फिर हम लोग वरी करने लग जाएंगे, अरे I want moksha, मेरा क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? Why am I not why I am trying to give up non-veg, but अभी भी अंदर से मेरे आए जा रहा है. Not hankering after even those results eventually. First of all, we always hanker after results, right? So don't try and get there ki I will not hanker after my results at all for the moksha also. Convert first stage when we are hankering after tamasic results, stepwise. We step up to, okay, now let me move from tamasic results to like more rajasic results. Once I have gotten there, then I will change my hankering to hold on to sattvic results. One day I have to let go of those sattvic results also. No hankering whatsoever. Jab hona hoga, hoga. But don't do it when you are in a tamasic state. Kyun kya hoga tab? Because the moment you say tab to fir everything gone. Then to jab hoga, hoga, socha jayega. The problem comes when I say something like, or Bhagwanji says, ki yaar, don't hanker after results. Jab hoga, hoga. But that is a path to making sure that you are in a tamasic state. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. You are letting yourself go into continue to stay in your tamasic state there. So very important to understand this distinction, that not hanker after results is correct, but The point is that when we all have a hankering for results, so we have to have goals. Today, where we stand, we can't give up goals. We can't give up hankering after goals. So we have to make sure that we understand in each aspect of our lives. In this aspect, I'm still in the tamasic state. I have to set some rajasic goals. In some states, I'm in rajasic state. Move them to the sattvic goal. In certain things, I'm already in the sattvic state. I have to let go of all goals and just give in to being with Bhupanji. But it has to be stepwise. And there are enough situations in our lives where we all have our tamasic states of being. And those tamasic states of being have to be massively looked into and have to be converted into Rajasic goals. There you have to hanker after results. You have to hanker after Rajasic results, and you have to hanker after. And when we are in a Rajasic state of mind, तो कुछ भी नहीं काम करते सिवाय results. Make sure your goals are sattvic and your results you're hankering after are sattvic. Correct? हमें काम ही करना है ना. Activity after activity after activity. Then fill your life instead of shopping, parties, cooking, dressing up, meeting people, doing work in office, next project. Convert that Rajasic activity towards करना है पूजा कर लो. Do more bhajan, do more dan, do more yagya. Convert your Rajasic state of being to like that thing is not going to stop until you first convert it into sattvic state. So hanker after sattvic activities, and then you'll be able to start to let go कि ये जरूरी नहीं है अब, ये जरूरी नहीं है अब, and then you will go from doing towards slowly being, and these activities that were like 100 activities filled in your day will now start to become 50 and then 30 and then 10 and then only one. But until we get there, you can't stop doing action. You can't say, I don't have to do action until we get there. Right? So hankering after results and action orientation has to be looked at from this perspective, the ladder perspective. You only let go when you are completely in a certain space, you are in a sattvic state. Until then, you cannot let go of action, you cannot let go of hankering. You just have to redirect. Otherwise, we risk falling into a completely tamasic state of being. Make sense? This distinction is very important for us.
Let me add a few things. So the first thing, which is supreme conviction, right? So actually, no, take a step back. The reason why we are studying all of this in so much detail is because we have to start becoming aware who is in the driver's seat when we are operating in the world. Is it Sat, is it Raj, or is it Tam? If we're not aware of that, then it is very difficult for us to become aware of the change we need to make that Tuina is suggesting, right? The ladder approach with regards to goals and the results that we go after, right? With the supreme conviction, we read this in chapter 9 as well. There is only one conviction to have. And that conviction is everything that I do is a direct relationship between me and Bhagwanji. That's it. There is only one relationship we have in this world, just one. Everything else is transient. Everything else is Maya. Every other form we chase is Maya. There's only one real relationship, you and Bhagwanji. You and Bhagwanji in the form of Vijay, or you and Bhagwanji in the form of Tuina, or you and Bhagwanji in the form of your child, you and Bhagwanji in the form of a BVGP that comes your way. But you only have one relationship. And the moment we go away from that relationship and focus on the form, that is where our real conviction is. So we have to rise up and realize, oh, I only have one relationship, and keep reminding yourself that in situations, right? Steadfastness. I was reading this very interesting book, okay? And in that it's a monk, and he says that whenever you are on the path of spirituality and self-realization, it's never a linear line. don't think you're taking the ladder so you will reach the top, because every time you're making progress. It's not like school, it's not like education, it's not like the systems that are designed in Maya, where everything is linear. He said you will go through certain steps, but then you will go through some massive pitfalls, massive doubt, massive pitfall. And he says that is the most important part of your journey, because that is where your character gets revealed. And unless you have the right character, he says the next step of his grace will never come. He says in his book, he says there were so many monks who went all the way, but then that pitfall, when it came, their true character came out. They were not steadfast, they were not patient, their purpose wasn't strong, their conviction wasn't strong, and that next step never came for them. 20, 30, 40 years, right? That's what it takes in monastery to achieve uh, self-realization. And he said this same thing you will experience in your life, right? So this is where fortitude and steadfastness comes in. Then hankering for results, Tuna has explained beautifully. So I don't need to add. I don't have a second perspective.
Finally, lastly, they are saying that being concerned only with performance of all duties dedicatedly and assiduously. I think one of the questions that we've always had is here, what is my duty in a certain situation? And we often get confused by that because we don't have the clarity of thought at this stage. We don't have the clarity at our, like there's a lot of clouding, there's a lot of antakaranki shuddhi that is still required, right? So, which is why we're like standing at crossing, like, this also feels like the right thing to do, that also feels like the right thing to do. I don't know what is my duty here, right? A cheat sheet here would be, go back to chapter 16, the 26 divine qualities. Our duty, our dharma in any VVGP without fail is to manifest the 26 divine qualities. So if you are at any point of time confused whether you did something in a dutiful fashion, or if you're confused about what is your duty, go back, read those 26 divine qualities and ask yourself which divine qualities/qualities I'm supposed to manifest in this situation. If you're manifesting them, you're doing your duty, irrespective of the actual action you take. Because it isn't about the action, as we all know by now. Manifesting the 26 divine qualities in any BBGP equals doing your dharma, your duty in every BBGP. And not manifesting them or manifesting any of the asuri qualities means we're not doing our duty. So that's a helpful cheat sheet until we are able to develop the inner light and manifest that inner light, clean that antakaran enough for the inner guidance to come through loud and clear to us. Until then, whenever you feel confused, go back to that. It will guide you. We'll go to the next one. Kavita, will you read with us?
The Lord now tells which type of austerities would indicate Rajasic faith.
Satkara mana pujartham.
Satkara mana pujartham.
Tapodambhena chaiva yat.
Tapodambhena chaiva yat.
Kriyate tadiha proktam.
Kriyate tadiha proktam.
Rajasam chalam adhruvam.
Rajasam chalam adhruvam. The austerity which is practiced for earning a name, respect of worship, and also that with ostentation is spoken of as being Rajasic in this world and is unstable and transitory. Rajasic austerity. The austerity of body, speech, or mind is said to indicate a Rajasic faith if it suffers from the defect of hypocrisy or ostentation. This may be due to desire for earning a reputation for being austere, or for getting respect, or for being worshipped, for being of an austere nature. But such austerity is not stable, and the pretension gets easily exposed by flimsiest temptation. Even cheats frequently put on mask of the austere chastity to ensnare their victims, but the mask peel off easily, revealing the hideous face of selfishness.
So, interesting thing to always remember is that the amount of effort you will put in a Rajasic town is the same amount of effort you will put in a Sattvic town. So activities will likely remain the same, the effort will remain the same, but the goals are extremely different. And because of that, the intention, the intention and the bhav is very different. And so the results are going to be very different. Even though on the face of it, the physical activities will exactly be the same.
So let me add, the bhav will be different, right? The action is same. The effort, I would say, is greater in Rajasic because and not just physical effort, but the conversation effort that you create. It expends more energy, and you end up worrying, thinking, adding stress, adding anger, adding frustration, adding expectation. So the amount of energy required, instead of it being one, becomes 100. And that's when the conversations of tiredness comes in, that's when the conversation of stress comes in, that's when the conversation of fatigue comes in, and medicine comes in, and body starts breaking, and body can't cope up. All of that is because you have put Rajasic behavior in the driver's seat. And all of us have that same way of being because we are born in this sansar and we've grown up a certain way.
And so and what are those what are the goals? These goals have been very clearly enumerated here. Whatever we do to earn name and fame, right? People should respect me. And this respect doesn't have to be global in nature. My children have to respect me. My spouse has to respect me. Talk to me in a certain way. I will do these things to get acknowledgement from my in-laws, from my parents, from my siblings, from my spouse, right? And we get upset if we don't get acknowledged for our effort. We enumerate our efforts that we've done. These are all Rajasic stuff.
So I'll take it once level softer, like subtler. Most conversation we create when we sit in a room or we sit with someone and we create conversation, most conversation we create would be either to tom about ourselves, or it would be to try and get respect, or it is to look good, all of that. And in the Sattvic, as we learned earlier, most of the conversation we make is irrelevant. It's Rajasic conversation. It's feel-good conversation.
Yeah, but there is a subtle difference between looking good when you're trying to do something for looking good versus receiving acknowledgement. Looking good में तो you're doing very shallow amount of work. आप actually में नीचे कुछ नहीं कर रहे होगे, but you will create that kind of conversation to pretend. There's a lot of pretension there. Okay, so that's you're just doing to look good. It's just window dressing. The other type is that you actually do a lot of hard work. You do you're in the trenches, you're doing everything that is required of you, right? But then you're doing it to receive certain acknowledgement. मैंने आपके लिए इतना कुछ किया. We do it as parents also. तुम्हारे लिए कितना कुछ किया मैंने और देखो तुम कैसे मेरे साथ बिहेव कर रहे हो. मैंने कितना कुछ किया तुम्हारे लिए और तुम कैसे मेरे लिए you know, I expect then certain things out of you as my child, right? If nothing else, I expect a certain amount of like respect. I need you to talk to me in a certain way. I need you to behave with me in a certain way. Without realizing that children are nothing but a reflection of me. How did I behave with my parents? How did I behave with other people around him? What did he see? Who am I being? He's just a reflection of me. And he's showing me who I have been. I have no business expecting things from my child when I haven't been practicing that myself. Right? But all of these questions of कि मैंने तुम्हारे लिए कितना किया, whether it's for our employees or siblings or parents or children, these are all at a subtler level conversations around acknowledgement, around earning a name within this little community, or whether it is earning name at a global level, in my company, in my community, in my school. I'm like an amazing alumni. I did this and I should get acknowledgement, right? So this is something that we do all the time. And then we don't see this at all. Because I'm not doing this, I'm volunteering. I'm not doing this to earn any money. I'm getting nothing out of it. I'm volunteering. I'm doing it for you. I'm getting nothing out of it. No, dude. We are doing this to get something out of it, which is that acknowledgement, my name, my respect.
So,
Right?
the thing with name, respect, and worship that uh, subtly drives a lot of our behavior, desires. If we look at it honestly within ourselves, we crave it. We crave it. We want it. We like it. We love it.
And it is important from that survival point of view, right? We want the community to accept us and acknowledge us.
But and kids are designed that. Biology, we have been born back in human form. We've come back in this life because that craving has not got dissipated. That's why every child is born, they also want that as craving. They also love attention. They also love, uh, love and acknowledgement and good jobs and all of those things, right? But as adults and people who are seekers, we have to come to an acceptance that we are whole, complete, and perfect the way we are. Because we are Bhagwanji. The body may not be whole, complete, and perfect, right? But we are whole, complete, and perfect. We do not need anybody else's respect, adulation, acknowledgement, as long as my relationship with Bhagwanji is strong. Because you will always know you're on the right path. You will always feel a peace that I did my job. Now the other person did whatever, that is on them.
And the results, see, when we are going to do tap on something, the appropriate amount of tap, we will get results. You will go to gym, you run every day, it will show up in your body, it will show up in your weight, it will show up in your health, right? Similarly, you will do a lot of voluntary work. I'm sure it will show up in your social CV somewhere, right? You do a lot of work in your office, you do a lot of tap in your office, it will show up in your career, right? So, and all of this adjusted by prior prarabdha and everything else, right? So we'll get all of that. But the point is that these are external results. These are sansaric results. And sansar by definition is chalam, unstable, constantly walking, adhrubam, transitory. Unstable and transitory results we will achieve in this world, and we leave them behind when we move on. But when we are working when we are doing the same set of austerities with a sattvic goal in mind to achieve the truth, to know the truth about myself, right? When that's the only thing I'm seeking through every VPGP, the results or the changes that will happen are going to be very internal in nature. There are going to be changes in my antahkaran. My antahkaran will get purer and cleaner through each of those activities. And that, by definition, is something that will stay with me after I die and is something that will be permanent in nature. I'm going to come back in my next life with that same antahkaran. It won't get lost. All of that effort is not lost after I die. All the other materialistic things I gain with that tup will get left behind in this world, and I start from zero in my next world. And start from zero as in like the place of entry will be dependent on where my antahkaran was when I left this world in this particular life. Right? The whatever name, fame, money, house, car I have achieved in this world with my tap will exactly be left behind. And when I'm born as a child, I have no name, fame. I have no house on my name. I have no car. I have to restart working for all of that again from ground zero. But changes I do in my antakaran will continue to be with me. I'm born with them all over again. The sanskars I've changed, they will stay with me. So that is the meaning of or understanding of what it means to achieve unstable transitory results versus permanent results. which don't go away.
See, the other thing is with this distinction of sattva and rajas, right? It's one is, yeah, we are born because we have a tendency to be rajasic. But the second also is, it is what we continuously expose our mind and intellect to, and the people we surround ourselves with. It's like, I'll give you an example. When your stomach is bad and you have acidity, or you have gas, or you have stomach pain, it is not because the stomach is bad. It's because what you put into it was bad. Right? So, similarly for us, if our mind has a predisposition or a stronger disposition towards a particular craving or liking or result, or it's any of those things, it's because what have we put into the mind. It's the conversations that we are creating. It is the people and the conversations we're creating. It's the books that we're reading. It's the TV shows that we're watching. It's about what we're putting in our mind. That will be effectively either fueling your craving further or redirecting it to sattvic principles.
So, Naina, will you read with us? Thank you.
The Lord now describes the types of austerities which indicate a tamasic faith. While the effort involved in observing austerities is the same, one with sattvic faith helps in the attainment of the supreme state. That with rajasic faith yields unstable and transitory results, and one with tamasic faith is positively harmful.
Dahenatmanah
मूढग्राहेण आत्मानो नः
yatpidaya kriyate tapah
यत्पीडया क्रियते तपः
parasyo parasyotasa parasyotsadadartham.
परस्योत्साधनार्थम्.
We'll do this one again. Huh? Parasyotsadadartham va
परस्योत्साधनार्थं वा
tattama samudahritam
तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्. The austerity undertaken with delusion, with self-torture, and for causing hurt in others is spoken of as being tamasic. Tamasic austerity, the austerity undertaken with a view to causing hurt to others and not with the view to its efficacy for self-realization, is said to be undertaken under delusion. Such austerities are practiced with the objective of causing hurt to others, even at the cost of suffering self-torture. Such an austerity helps in the ascendance of tamoguna, which is harmful not only in this life but also pushes the self into degraded forms of creation in the hereafter. The pity is that such sham austerity only harms the practitioner and no one else. Examples of such austerities are provided by fasts and demonstrations staged for causing mental torture to others, and those meant only to serve some selfish interests.
So most of corporate world, unfortunately, and I say it's a very generic statement, so I'm sure there are incredible companies as well. So please take it with a big pinch of salt. But most of corporate world operates from tamasic bhav. And it's not even rajasic, because lots of companies, at least the ones that I've interacted with, life is a zero-sum game. And a lot of them focus on, it doesn't matter about killing competition, like the words used. Killing, very few companies will say, oh, there's enough pie, how do we build the entire ecosystem? A lot of companies, look at Trump, where he is. It's all tamasic. They actually don't care. That's all these corporate things that we've seen with oil and gas companies, killing marine life, pollution, all of this regulation in finance, there has been no end to it. It doesn't matter if my investors lost money as long as I made money, right? And people have got bankrupt, people have lost houses their entire life. And that subtle but very powerful, if you observe conversations in rooms, you will see they look at the world in a zero sum game and they look at it in a way that as long as I make my dollar, it doesn't matter. But they will obviously candy wrap it. It's not always this obvious, but this is where a seeker comes in. This is where, as a seeker, we have to become aware the duty that we are doing. Is it good for the company? Is it good for my client? Is it strengthening the ecosystem I'm part of? Or am I just doing it because, hey, I'll get to make $1 in the process? And that's Lok Sangra, right? Am I strengthening the whole ecosystem and bettering people's lives or bettering people's experience of life rather than just trying to focus on that dollar? And we're with Trump and everything that's going on, it's actually quite scary to see how this might become more and more popular. Tuna's giving me a side eyes. Clearly, I should stop.
Without taking names. Austerities practiced with the objective of causing hurt to others. Right? Very easy for us to come back and say, nah, I'm a good person. I don't have an objective of causing hurt to others. Right? So if somebody got hurt along the process, blah, I didn't mean it. Right? It's easy for a lot of us to just simply say that and say, I don't have a tamasic austerity. I've never indulged in a tamasic austerity. But this is where we really need to shine a deeper light on ourselves and see every time I have spent time gossiping. That is a lot of time and energy spent in gossiping, which is an entirely tamasic activity. Speaking bad about people behind their backs. When we indulge in, when we do corporate appraisals, right? And it takes a lot of time and effort and energy to do that. There's a lot of effort, there's a lot of stuff there. When we do it with the wrong intention, that entire stuff becomes a tamasic stuff, right? When we use it as a way to take revenge on the people we don't like, right? There are enough number of people in every corporate where we like people, where we don't like people. When we're not able to keep our personal experiences away from doing what is right for the company and for the person on the other side, then what we are doing is a tamasic stuff. When we sit and listen to people complain about others, even when we are not actively gossiping, that is tamasic stuff that we are indulging in. It's a very tamasic activity, right? People are complaining and moaning about their lives and about everybody around them, and they're playing the victim card again and again, and we're sitting there and listening to them. For what purpose? Right? Now, there may be cases when you do have to listen to this because you're acting as a container of emotion and you're letting the person rant it out before you're able to redirect or clear their negative energy to be able to bring the positive energy back in, right? Empty the negativity out, you'll automatically become positive because that's who you are at the core, right? And that's something that, for example, a counselor would do. Doesn't make a counselor's job a tamasic activity, right? So all of these things again depend on where we are coming from. But I'm just trying to give you examples of things that we might be indulging in literally on a daily basis without knowing that I may be practicing tamasic stuff. And other than that, of course, there is a lot of scheming and plotting and office politics. So tamasic stuff. I will go to any length to ensure that I am perceived in a certain way and others are perceived negatively, right? Sales, like Abhinav said, we try and, there is one part where you showcase your product against the competition, right? We all have that slide in our decks, but doing it in a way where we where we pull the competition apart in a very negative way and start saying very like negative things about them. It's a very tamasic up there, right? There is a way to be respectful towards your competition and yet be able to talk about things they are doing well, things they are not doing well, right? Pull them apart all you want to be able to win your business, but the intention and the way you do it, you can be very tamasic, you can be very sattvic, or you can be very rajasic. And there are enough number of these situations where if we shine a light on ourselves, we'll find places where we are practicing tamasic dhamma, right?
So I'll tell you an example, right? Yesterday, we went to buy a duvet, okay, in Singapore into a store. The store itself was like a warehouse. It wasn't really a fancy store. It was tough to get there, all of those things. And by the time we reached the storefront, and we rang the bell, we were just like, "Patani, I have no intention of buying anything from here." That salesperson had such a sattvic bhav that we spent 2 hours in that store and purchased 10 other things. And at one point, the salesperson told us, "Don't buy this now. You should go try some other stores first. Go try some other products." Every time we talked about some other product, he would very deftly navigate the conversation to this is what the other product is, this is what this is. And then he made us experience what he has. And by the end of it, we were just like so delighted. We had no intention of shopping, but that was just a very skillful way. So Tuhina saved his number as Jensen, future salesperson for company. Tuhina, smile. You're crying. I don't know.
And then we all throw tantrums, right? We all throw tantrums in our lives. We throw tantrums at our spouses, at our parents, with our siblings. All of those tantrums are what are actually listed here in the end, right? Fast and demonstration staged for causing mental torture to others. The temper tantrums we throw in our families, in our offices, in our communities is this. Whether it is at a personal level or whether it is aligned and staged at a communal level. These are all tamasic austerities. You know? The kind of that tantrum that Kekai threw was a tap. I will not eat anything, I will not drink anything, I will sit in my bhavan, I will not wear anything nice, I will wear rags. All tamasic, we all have that Kekai within us. We all have done it with our parents from the very beginning. And we probably continue to foist it on our families even now in a muted fashion, passive aggressive. When we act passive aggressive in any relationship rather than having a calm conversation, these are all those tamasic stuff that we all indulge in. And we all have done passive aggressive behavior with our in-laws or with our spouses where we don't have the capacity to sit down and have a direct conversation, but we'll see the inside and we'll throw a temper tantrum, right? And we'll make sure that the other person knows that I'm really upset. Walk around feeling all upset and making other people walk around on eggshells around us. All tamasic stuff. Okay, so the important thing to remember here is that all sattvic things, they are all our duties, right? And when we are doing our duty, when we are acting with a sattvic goal and our actions are sattvic, our thoughts are sattvic, we are basically aligned with the universe. And the universe's energies will then align through us. Does that mean that, oh, if the universe's energies are aligned with me, that means all of my material goals that I was working towards, they'll all come to me? No. That means universe's energies are aligned to make sure that you will walk the fastest path towards your ultimate goal, which is to get to Bhagwan. The universe will conspire to get you there in the easiest manner possible, in the most convenient manner possible, in the manner that you don't have to walk up, like, in a scenic route of going up the hill, rather than a torturous route up where you're scared every step of the way and you could fall to your death because it's the most steep climb ever at the edge of a cliff and one wrong move and you can die. Not that. He will make sure that you're walking the most scenic, comfortable, easy route where you enjoy your life while you get to him. If we act sattvic, if we do our duty, the world aligns with us. The whole universal energy will be aligned with us. Right? The problem is that we often confuse this to say that whatever I want in my life will come to me because now I am acting good and I am acting all sattvic. That won't happen. If something that you're asking for is not good for you, Bhagwanji will not give it to you. Like you will not give a candy to your child, however, how much hankering he may do to you. If you after brushing, I want another candy now, I want to eat and sleep that. No mother will give it. Fathers may. Fathers
Good
totally
joke.
may.
You had the same joke, bro.
Thank you. You're rubbing off on me right now. Wait a bit.
Or maybe my behavior is.
So, so, and Sattvikta is not a goal. Sattvikta is not a goal. Goal is Mubanji. But Sattvikta is the only path to that goal, only way to that goal. You cannot get to your ultimate goal through your Rajasic or Tamasic ways of being. Sattvikta is the only way. That's why that step ladder. Tamasic से कोई भी jump नहीं करेगा सात्विकता पे. Tamasic has to go through Rajasic. Then Rajasic has to go through Sattvic. Then that Sattvikta will then take us to our ultimate goal. So saying I've become a good person is not an end goal in itself. I'm doing a lot of meditation, I'm doing a lot of puja is not an end goal in itself. I'm doing a lot of dan, I'm doing a lot of fast is not an end goal in itself. All of this sattvikta that we will inculcate in our lives must lead to antakaran ki shuddhi, must lead to a change in my way of being, in how I deal with all my VVGPs. If something used to irritate me 5 years ago and it is still irritating me, I have not made any progress, irrespective of how much puja I may have done. If in fact I am not changing as a person and my behavior is not changing in how I deal with my VVGPs and I'm doing all these seemingly sattvic activities, then those seemingly sattvic activities are nothing but rajasic or perhaps even tamasic. They are not sattvic. A sattvic activity will necessarily change our antakaran. It's a byproduct. So if we are not experiencing it, then we should question कि मैंने कहाँ अपना intention सही नहीं किया है. What do I need to change inside of myself, in my intention, in my bhav, in what I'm asking for the same activity to have that change in me that is required. So Sattvikta is not an end goal in itself. It is the path to the end goal, which is nothing but seeking the truth, nothing but the real truth in this world, which will set me free.
So, Mayaji used to always say this, that everyone in our parivar is a seeker. And if you are a seeker, you're always seeking in every situation. You're seeking that divinity in every situation. And he said most people, the mistake they do is they come for the gyan, but that element of seeking in real life, they don't do. They do it for the intellectual stimulation. They'll do the ritual as the sattvic ritual and saying, I'm very sattvic. But the moment VVGP comes in, that is where the seeking needs to happen. That is where you need to start seeing sattvikta building. If you don't work on the VVGP, then you don't come for the class. We don't want you. Don't come here and do the bhajan and read the Gita and do this. We don't want. वो तो करना ही नहीं हमें. If you're a seeker,
because it only
this is your study.
It only increases ostentation.
Correct. He said you study this because you're practicing in your VVGP. If you're not practicing in your VVGP, then you're not a seeker and you should not be part of Parivar. That is why when people join our Parivar, the question you always ask is, why are you joining it? And most people say, I want to become a better version of myself. So, okay, let's find you that perfect definition of a seeker. Because you can become a better version every single moment with every interaction. Right?
So, Rituj, will you do the next one?
Karna?
The Lord now describes the features of sattvic charities.
दातव्यमिति यद्दानम्
Datavyamiti yadyanam
दीयते अनु दीयते अनुपकारिणे
diyate anupakarine
देशे काले च पात्रे च
deshe kale cha patre cha
तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्
taddanam sattvikam smritam. Charity that is given only as a duty at a proper place and time to a proper person without expectation of any return is said to be sattvic. Sattvic charity. The important point of sattvic charity is that it is given solely with the thought that it is a bounden duty. When wealth or material acquired justly is utilized for benefiting another person, such an act is said to be an act of charity. In doing so, there can be no feeling of doing any favor. On the other hand, there should be a feeling of gratitude that someone has provided a chance for an act of charity. In charity accompanied by such a feeling, there can be no expectation of any return. To have an expectation of any return would amount to entering into a bargain. Any money or material given in consideration of some services, would also not be charity, for it would amount to only an expression of self-gratification. In this shlok, some emphasis has been laid on selection of a proper time, place, and persons for charity. Places which are accepted generally as being holy, like a place of pilgrimage or of worship, are fit for endowment of charities. There are other places also fit for such endowments, like schools, hospitals, orphanages, etc. Again, there has to be a proper time for charity. For example, if free food is provided in some school, money or material should be given when needed there. The selection of a proper person is also very relevant. For charity to be sattvic, it should be ascertain whether the charity is actually needed or not. Charity is given with sattvic faith lead to ascendancy of sattva gun in the giver.
The word here, right? Diyate anupakarine. It means without any expectations of return, and which is given without it is not given as a favor to the other person. Given as a favor, as in you're expecting any something in return, maybe not the money itself, but you're experiencing, but you expect acknowledgement. You expect the other person to give you respect for that, right? That charity is no longer a charity because you're doing it for certain self gratification. Okay. And it must be given only as a duty. When you say when it has to be done as a duty, bounden duty, means it must be, if it is being done as a duty, must be done with gratitude and a lot of joy. If you are doing duty not with a lot of joy and gratitude, कि अरे वाह मुझे मौका मिला कुछ करने का, I am so grateful for getting this opportunity to do the seva. If I'm not doing it with a lot of joy in my heart and happiness in my heart, but doing it as if like अरे भैया करना पड़ रहा है, तो better don't do it. Better don't do it. If you're doing anything with this attitude of करना पड़ रहा है इसलिए कर रहे हैं, at home, at office, in your communities, better don't do it. Because the results, just like the results will accrue to you. You do something and then you have this negative feeling after having done it, the same negative karma will accrue to you, which is related to the negative feeling you have gotten having done that charity. That feeling will accrue your negative karma to you. So better don't do it. Otherwise, you'll end up with a negative karma. या तो कुछ कर्म मत लो.
So I think for the other pitfall that is right around the corner is one is charity without expectation, as Duna mentioned. The second is charity with judgment. ओ ये पुअर है तो उसको देना है, ये ऐसा है तो ऐसा देना है, right? And we end up, that is as tricky a place for us to be, right? If you want to learn about sattvic charity, I have in my life observed it best with people who have less resources than you. You know, in a company in India, in any company, you ask people to donate a certain amount of money. From a percentage wise, the poorest person always gives the most than the richest, because they have such a strong sense of lok sangrah and community. Because they know their happiness and survival and purpose is with that community.
Oh, even that then becomes a very Rajasic and Tamasic way of it, because they're doing it because
They don't have
giving into this
Enough.
thing to get something back is not something.
No, you're not doing it with the expectation of getting it back. You're doing it because you feel connected as one to that community. Because you feel the pain of the other person.
Definitely. I can vouch on that. Like, I had been running multiple things through the office and so on. But when we are talking about like even the interns and the freshers and so on who is coming in, they have seen the path. Like, a lot of them are being picked up as a company. We are trying to help a lot of interns from the first time graduates and so on, right? So we are definitely seeing, because they have been through the path, or they have seen that very closely somewhere, which is triggering, right? Like the some of the seniors who you think like can do lot more wonders will be less than even some of the few freshers who can put together, right? That's the way it is working, because they some way or other better connected and seen that in action or whatever it is, and it is definitely coming out really well.
And let me add,
Empathy.
no,
It
no,
is
even
empathy which causes.
let me,
I'm not questioning what the statement. I'm just saying the reason they do it. The reason you gave becomes a Rajasic thing,
no,
not
it doesn't. Lok Sangrah is just that. Charity for Lok Sangrah is because you're making this community stronger, and the community is stronger, it will come back to benefit you.
Yes, but not with the expectation that it
Expectation nahi.
Cannot
That is
be an
very different.
expectation.
Expectation is कि मैंने दिया तो अब मुझे जब I want it back. That is very different.
But you see the difference, right?
Yeah,
the way you
100%.
put it was like there's an expectation that Lok Sangrah, that system will benefit me back. You may never get that benefit back in your lifetime. You are sowing a seed, that tree may yield fruit after you're long gone. Maybe you won't get it, maybe even your grandchildren will not get it. Right? So you don't do Lok Sangrah with the expectation of getting back from the system.
100%.
So, but you put it that way. That's why I wanted to be very clear. That's not something. Okay. So charity.
You know, the other thing with charity, the other thing you have to firmly believe in before you give it is you're not giving it, you are just returning what was theirs. That's why they've come to your consciousness. That's the bhav. Right? So, yeah, I have good examples in my mind, but yeah, that's the sense.
Go to the next one. That's
Let's do take this.
39. We'll get literally go through our things like in 5-10 minutes. We can do one more, just one. Baby. Baby. We'll do one more baby. Vijay, will you read with us?
The Lord now describes the Rajasic charity.
Yattu patyupakarartham
Yatyu pratyupaparaktam
phalam uddishya va punaha
palam uddishya va punaha
diyate cha pariklishtam
diyate cha parikshliktam
taddanam raja samsmritam.
Taddanamam raja samsmritam. Charity given with expectation of some return or gain to some worldly objective, and also that is given grudgingly, is regarded as being Rajasic. Rajasic charity. Sometimes charity is practiced with the expectation of return in shape of fame or some social importance or least some word of thanks. Sometimes it is practiced under social pressure or with indifference or even grudgingly. All these render it rajasic. Such a charity has unstable and transitory effect. The amount or material remaining the same, the enlightening effect of sattvic charity is lost when it is given with the rajasic thoughts.
I think this one's very, very clear.
Yeah.
And we all experience Rajasic charity all around us. It's more common than the Sattvic charity, unfortunately. I wouldn't say it is more common in the world, it is just more commonly seen. Okay, simply because of the nature of Rajasic activity. Whenever somebody does a Rajasic charity, will make sure that the whole world knows about it. So you will come to know about that. But someone who's doing a Sattvic charity is naturally done quietly. There's no ostentation around it. So you will not hear it. So I'm not saying that there is more Rajasic charity happening than Sattvic. It is just more louder. So you will hear a lot than the Sattvic, right? And people who are doing Sattvic charity, and there are millions of amazing people doing it, they just don't want to talk about it, because the moment you start talking about it, those people get scared about, oh, I'm in this Maya, right? And if I talk about it, this thing has its own power, it will come and get me. And I want to stay away from it because they understand the power of Maya. So they want to stay away from it. So they really, really keep quiet about any of their charity. And even prevent other people from talking too much about it. Ki kaam karo, chup raho. So you may not hear as much about the good things that a lot of amazing people do. Okay. I think we'll close here. It's 11:43. So we'll close this, and the last one is a bit long as well. We'll take it in the next class. The takeaways.
Oh, okay, I can start. I think I'm unmute anyways. My takeaways or learnings is that first of all is I have the choice of what my goal can be, and using my austerities, intellect, and willpower, I have that choice whether I choose worldly things or the ultimate truth, which is self-realization or connecting with God. And I pray that I can always choose the latter, which is through what I do and connecting with God, and that should be the goal in everything I do. And Also, a very important part through that, what we discussed was that self surrender and that humility to accept my limitations while I do that, and knowing that, that conviction that I have to develop and to see God in everything, that humility needs to be there of letting go of my ego that I can do it, that have to let go and surrender to God that it is only with His grace and with their grace that I can achieve that, and through Nam Jap and prayer. So that is something, and also the all the to differentiate between while doing my duty, the Rajasic and Tamasic and Sattvic, that distinction, and how that ladder, which was discussed about, from starting from Tamasic and moving on to Rajasic and then Sattvic and then ultimately letting go that as well. So you have to that hankering results aspect of hankering for Sattvic results and doing Sattvic activities and going for those, and that being the goal, because I'm not in that level yet of at that sattvic state. So I have to go up that ladder and gradually reach that goal. So that would be my two learnings, which I want.
I can go next. No, my main takeaway is any action, whatever we are doing, needs to the ascendancy of sattva. So that happens only if you're doing with any action with joy and gratitude. If not, if I have to do it, this is like, whatever happens, that time it's actually that ascendancy of sattva is not happening. And then we feel like it's all drained, the energy is drained. So I had to be very aware and mindful of what is the bhav I am keeping during any action, or am I really seeking? Am I really seeking divinity in every action and every situation? That is my main takeaway from the class. Thank you.
I can go next. For me, the main takeaway is that any sattvic activity would be transformative from within, and it is permanent. The changes are from within, not outside. That would be my takeaway. And also the fact that the clarity which you gave about being result oriented. Of course, when you're when you're dealing with Rajasic or Tamasic, when you're stuck at Rajasic and Tamasic level, probably you need to have goals, and you'll have to look for the results to rise higher. And once you're in the sattvic state, probably then you can let go of looking for results and goals. That's one thing. And also the cheat sheet which you gave regarding duties, that will probably be very helpful, because that question of where does my duties start and end, that clarity we need to have. So maybe looking back at the divine qualities would help us in guiding into what is exactly our duty in any situation. That would be my key takeaways. Thank you.
Hi, I'll go next. Thank you. So my takeaway today is the sattvic, every situation, every doing things. So feel that energy within the energy is the positive. Then that sattvic is because if rajasic or tamasic, when you keep doing only the duties, then you get frustrated. So when you feel like how your mind is and how your going through each and every situation through sattvic way, then you get more energized. And then the feeling is you are not doing anything for anyone, they are doing for everybody, having that god, everyone is having god within us. So you are doing for the god, you are only doing for the god. The path is you are attained, going to get that how to say that sattvic way. So my takeaway is the always try to go with in every situation in the sattvic way as much as possible.
I can go next. Today, for me, I felt the class was quite a interesting eye opener, in sense of seeing things like in the Rajasic, Tamasic, and a Sattvic way. And I guess maybe most of all in my field, it's all about results and results oriented. So you're always chasing that target and that goal. So I guess I have to be more aware into looking and how to slowly going into the way of more Sattvic way of looking into things. And that was my key takeaway.
So I think I want to be very clear. There's nothing wrong with having goals, right? Goals are actually the way we are defined and the way the world works, right? The way Bhavanji has made, right? There are certain, we chase happiness, right? We chase bliss, we chase peace. And then there are these at a physical level, there are, dopamine or whatever, right? There are these 2-3 different things that happen inside of us that cause us to feel a certain way. And hitting certain goals helps release those chemicals, which makes us feel good. So we chase after them, right? You can't run away from the chemical nature of things. You can't run away from the physicality of things until we are in this world. You've got to accept it and know that these have been provided to us as a tool to be used. We need to use this as a tool rather than we being a victim of this. Right?
Slave.
Yeah, we can't be a slave to it, but we can use it as a very effective tool. Bhagwan ji ne diya hai ye hamare liye. Okay, he has created the world like that. So as long as we are in this physical world and we have this massive body consciousness, we have to use all the tools of the body for our ultimate benefit. That's where the intellect comes in. ये है tool, set goals, feel good about achieving them. But the goal setting should now become different. Rather than saying कि goals ही मुझे set नहीं करने हैं, you cannot escape them. Without, if the moment you lose goals, you will start to see that you have this vagueness in your life and you are beginning to drift away. Okay, you won't make positive, specific progress without appropriate goals. There is a place for goals in our life. There's a place for not having goals and having white spaces in your life. But those goals are important. The thing here is not to say don't have goals. The thing here is to say what goals are the right goals to have. Instead of having worldly materialistic goals, can I now set goals that are a little bit more sattvic in nature? Right? If I'm in the Rajasic space, but if I'm in a space where I'm not even setting goals I'm not able to even, like, I can create goals which are in tamasic in nature, or I'm in a space where I have so much tamasic inertia in me that I'm not even able to create goals to like run after them, has to go from tamasic to Rajasic to sattvic. So even sattvic may have sattvic goals. Right? Goals are a massive tool given to us. Don't lose it. It's a great tool to progress us on the path. Right? Make sense? Yeah, I definitely don't want our takeaway here as like, we shouldn't have goals. We should have goals. We can't escape goals. They are a very powerful motivator. And we are all heavy on our body consciousness right now. So we have to use the amazing tools given to us. And this is a great tool. Just question and make sure that, use our intellect to like turn the goals a little bit, small steps rather than taking one giant leap. That giant leap will fail. So small steps to adjust our direction. That's it. Thank you.
And it's above that is going to become very important, right? Even for the goal and the execution, with what kind of intention that we are going to run with is going to be very crucial. At what purpose, why we are doing that. Underneath it, with what is the intention that we are running with, that's going to play a crucial.
100%.
My takeaway is like surprisingly, the sattvic austerities got an elevation, right? Like the discipline and the conviction and the steadfastness and not hankering for results. Typically, we have been seeing that earlier parts as Rajasic activities largely, but these are very slippery. So when I try to understand a little deeper, because anybody will go through this thing. Okay, discipline. Okay, it is only me. Then I can try to do this time alone, moving away, taking out a step, or whatever it is. Right? Discipline is even with God as a guide and all prevailing. You will have to stand to the word, whatever you are doing it, like whatever actions that you are doing, whatever things that you have told to yourself, which may or may not be known to anybody else, invariable to that, whatever the situation is, you will have to. So these are very slippery slope items, right? Like whether it is steadfastness on trust towards the God, right? It is very easy when we are put into a situation, we can always ask like, why me? Why it is why this is given to me, than analyzing what it is trying to teach me. So we may not have that this thing also. So these items, I think like it is good to have and analyze further, dig in by ourselves, like to analyze further by ourselves whenever things happen. So that's the takeaway. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for your takeaways. We'll do the closing shlokas.
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Om सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामय, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ